sandwiches, ice cream, coffee and snacks, and many other pleasing treats. Our foods are fresh and tasty, our drinks satisfying and refreshing. They're so good.
Welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In.
And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Average Joe's Drive-In, episode number 54. This is a review cast. There was no regular episode this week. If you guys didn't notice, a lot going on and had to reschedule. But we have rescheduled the guest, which was Jason Tripp. He will be in April. So we're going to have a review cast anyway. Also, just to give you all a heads up, next week's episodes are going to be reversed. The review cast will be on Monday and the regular guest episode will be on Thursday. But there is good reason for that. Coming back on the show is my very special guest, Jamie Gagnon, who is currently working on the new hit television show 911. So he'll be in to talk and hang out and chat, and I'm looking forward to talking to Jamie. So we move stuff around just for that because he doesn't get back to Maine very often. It's going to be fun to have him in the studio. So let's kick stuff off with 2017's Beyond Skyline.
Sorry to drag you down here, man. Son of a bitch. There he is. I know it's been tough on both of you since Rose passed. Well, at least he's got you.
And you even want to hear my side?
You are so much smarter than this. Christ knows you didn't get that from me. Everyone all right?
This is 87 westbound. Can you hear me?
What the
There's a light. I can't explain it. It took my son. The whole world. It's under attack.
Oh my God.
We need to go. Listen to me. You help me find my son. I'll help everyone. I'm going after that ship.
You will never make it.
We both know this is a one-way trip. But we gotta go.
Dad!
This film was directed by Liam O'Donnell, has a 106-minute runtime, rated R, stars Frank Grillo, Bojana Novakic, and Johnny Weston. I watched this one on DVD. Synopsis. Detective Mark Corley storms his way onto an alien spaceship to rescue his estranged son. When the ship crashes in Southeast Asia, he forges an alliance with a band of survivors to take back the planet once and for all. I remember the first Skyline being kind of a jumbled mess. That had some positive moments, but overall wasn't a very good film. Honestly, I probably wouldn't even have known about or even checked this one out if I hadn't heard a few good things beforehand randomly. What a pleasant surprise. This movie actually kicked a lot of ass. I think this is possibly the best video game movie I've ever seen. Except it's not based on a video game, but it sure as hell felt that way. The reason I say it feels like a video game is because of a few things. The way the action scenes play out, and the way the film progresses. I think anyone familiar with games like The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, or the Uncharted series of games, or games like that, will get what I'm saying. If you mix those with a flick like Pacific Rim, then you'd have this. I'm certainly not complaining with that mashup. It's packed with a ton of action, some really good special effects, giant alien kaiju monsters, and it moves along at a great pace. For a movie I was expecting exactly 0 out of, this really took me by surprise. There are some badass fight scenes in this. Just a really great surprise. These days I feel like I don't get caught off guard enough when it comes to newer films. The way the trailers are and how everyone breaks them down, some of the mysterious fun is taken away. I'm glad this one did just that, and I will certainly be purchasing a copy of this when I can find one for the right price. This is a film I could see myself throwing on often when I want something fun. My rating for this is a 7 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 5.4 out of 10. Up next, 1982's Conan the Barbarian.
Slave. Barbarian. Warrior. Thief. Conan.
They said you'd come, a man of great strength, conqueror, one who could crush the snakes of the earth.
Purveyors of their own deaths.
He's evil, a sorcerer who can summon demons.
Day of doom is here! What daring! What arrogance! I salute you.
An age undreamed of comes the most incredible adventurer of all. The man they call Conan the Barbarian. Coming to a theater near you from Universal Pictures.
Warrior. Thief. Gladiator. Conqueror. Conan.
They said you had come, a man of great strength. A conqueror.
Let us take the world by the throat and make it give us what we desire.
We'll all drown in lakes of blood.
He's evil, a sorcerer who can summon demons.
Now they will know why they are afraid of the dark. Now they will learn why they fear the night. Out of an age undreamed of comes the most incredible adventurer of all. What daring! What outrageousness! What arrogance! I salute you. Conan the Barbarian.
This film was directed by John Milius, has a 129-minute runtime. It is rated R, stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Earl Jones, and Max von Sydow. I watched this on DVD. Synopsis. A barbarian warrior sets off to avenge his parents and his tribe, who was slain by an evil sorcerer and his henchmen when he was a boy. This is a classic sword and sorcery flick, so I'm sure most people have seen it, but if you haven't, you need to, so I'll keep the review brief. On a fun scale, this one is up there as one of my all-time favorites. I've always loved this movie. I don't care if it is a bit cheesy and over the top, it's a lot of fun. This is a prime example of a film that I don't need to be Oscar caliber material to enjoy. It has one of my top 5 favorite scores ever done by Basil Poledouris. I have also always thought James Earl Jones was super creepy in this. I have no clue how many times I've seen this one, but it has to be at least 24 times or more. It's one I throw on every few years and usually do a back-to-back of this and Conan the Destroyer. I really would have liked to see Arnold do one more Conan movie, but it never seemed to be in the cards. Still, I'm glad to have this kick-ass fun film to throw on whenever I feel like it. My rating is a 7 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.9 out of 10. Up next, 1958's The Horror of Dracula.
Some things are best left alone, such as interfering in things which are beyond our powers.
Now, please don't misunderstand me. This is more than a superstition, I know. The danger is very real. The study of these creatures has been my life's work. I've carried out research with some of the greatest authorities in Europe, and yet we've only just scratched the surface. Victims consciously detest being dominated by vampirism, but are unable to relinquish the practice. Ultimately, death results from loss of blood. But unlike normal death, no peace manifests itself, for they enter into the fearful state of the undead. Since the death of Jonathan Harker, Count Dracula has disappeared. He must be found and destroyed.
This film was directed by Terence Fisher. It has an 82-minute runtime. It's not rated. Stars Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Michael Gough. I watched this on DVD. Synopsis. On a search for his missing friend Jonathan Harker, vampire hunter Dr. Van Helsing is led to Count Dracula's castle. Upon arriving, Van Helsing finds an undead Harker in Dracula's crypt and discovers that the Count's next target is Harker's ailing fiancée, Lucy Homewood. With the help of her brother, Arthur, Van Helsing struggles to protect Lucy and put an end to Count Dracula's parasitic reign of terror. The first of the Hammer Films Dracula series. I've seen a few of these over the years, but I honestly couldn't remember which ones I'd seen other than Satanic Rites of Dracula. I found a 4-pack of them for $1.50 on DVD, so I figured, what the hell, it's a good time to check out some more, and even if I've seen them for $1.50, it's definitely worth revisiting. Within 5 minutes of the film starting, I realized this was one I'd seen, but I honestly didn't remember a ton about it other than a few visual things. The old Hammer horror films have a beautiful old world quality to them. Everything from the locations to the sets and matte paintings. There's a very rustic beauty in a drab, cold sort of way. If you've ever looked at a classic painting from the 1800s, these are basically the film version of those. The Horror of Dracula isn't a long movie, which is actually a bonus because of the pacing of the film and the way it plays out. I think if it had been any longer, it might have gotten a bit boring. Christopher Lee is great as Dracula, and Peter Cushing is wonderful as Van Helsing. The score feels epic and grand in the classic sense. It fits the film seamlessly and only adds to the overall aesthetic of what you are viewing. These may not be for everyone, but if you're a fan of classic horror and monsters, this is a great movie to watch. It's also not overtly overtly violent or gory, so it might be a great introduction to someone younger who's just getting into horror, but isn't quite ready for the harsher, more modern fare. Also, I wanted to mention how great the transfer was on this. The first time I saw it, I don't remember it looking anywhere near as this good. I hope the others are just as well put together. I'm very much looking forward to checking out the other 3 films in the collection. My rating for this was an 8 out of 10. The average IMDb rating on this is a 7.4 out of 10. Up next, 2017's Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Wow, this is a fun group. Welcome to detention. Spencer, Bethany, Fridge, Martha. You're all here for a reason.
Hey, person walking.
You should be thinking about who you are and who you want to be. You'll have plenty of time to figure that out while you're cleaning out the basement.
Are you gonna help or are you too pretty?
I'm too pretty.
Yo, what's this?
A game for those who seek to find a way to leave their world behind. Jumanji. You pick a character and you're that person in the game.
Which one do I pick?
I don't think it matters that much.
Moose Finbar. Sounds like a badass.
I'll be the curvy genius.
Dr. Smolder Bravestone.
I guess I'm Ruby Roundhouse.
Guys. Oh, Vay.
Ow! Where's the rest of me?
Oh my God. Fridge?
Yeah, I'm Fridge. Who are you?
It's me, Spencer.
Who is she?
Martha?
Why am I wearing half a shirt and short shorts in the jungle?
I think we got sucked into Jumanji and we become the avatars we chose.
So that means
Bethany?
Oh, Bethany. Don't look at it! No! I'm an overweight, middle-aged man.
I don't have my Claritin, and all I see around here is pollen.
Well, I don't have the top 2 feet of my body!
Damn, that is a man right there. Don't cry, don't cry. Don't cry, it's gonna be okay.
Welcome to the jungle!
This is a video game, which means we all have special skills.
Why am I running so slow?
That was so intense. I can't even with this place.
Watch your step in here.
Maybe we're all in a coma.
What? That old game machine must have electrocuted us, and now we're all... Oh my God! You better get in there and save her.
I'm not gonna get in there. You get in there.
I got a backpack on. You don't get in water with a backpack. Everybody knows that.
This film was directed by Jake Kasdan, has a 119-minute runtime. It is rated PG-13, stars Dwayne Johnson, Karen Gillan, Kevin Hart, and Jack Black. I watched this one on DVD. Synopsis. 4 high school kids discover an old video game console and are drawn into the game's jungle setting, literally becoming the adult avatars they chose. What they discover is that you don't just play Jumanji, you must survive it. To beat the game and return to the real world, they'll have to go on the most dangerous adventure of their lives. Discover what Alan Parrish left 20 years ago and change the way they think about themselves, or they'll be stuck in the game forever. I'm a big fan of the original Robin Williams version of this film. It was one I watched a lot when I was younger. I was curious as to how they were going to proceed with this one, if it was going to go in a new direction or be a bit of a rehash of the original. This was actually a pretty fun movie. It's not anything crazy or out of the ordinary as far as setting the bar for cinema, but it does its job and manages to be rather entertaining. There are actually a lot of really funny moments scattered throughout this film as well. As usual, The Rock is charismatic as the lead. It's really the perfect type of role for him, I think. Think The Rundown, but a little more dialed back. Kevin Hart and Karen Gillan are solid in their roles. And I'll be honest, I am not a big Kevin Hart fan. I just don't find him funny. Never have. But I know a lot of people do, but I really didn't mind him in this one. I'm also not a huge Jack Black fan, but I don't mind him in the right roles. But honestly, he was hilarious in this. His performance was my favorite part of the film. At least his character got the most laughs out of me. Also, this is really more of a sequel than a remake, which made me happy. There are some nice little nods to the original, and overall, I was pleasantly surprised with this one. While it doesn't bring anything fresh to the table, it's definitely worth the watch. Good, harmless entertainment. My rating on this was a 6.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 7.1 out of 10. That's going to wrap up this section for DVDs. And because I didn't watch any Blu-rays or streaming stuff, or at least I didn't review any on this, and we're going to crack open the VHS vault, where we talk about films from the past that maybe you've forgotten about, classic films maybe you haven't seen in a while. But either way, it's time to break open those moldy oldies and enjoy some classic cinema reviews. Well, classic is a very loose term. Up first, 1986's Crocodile Dundee.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
Two beers, all right? One for me, one for me, mate.
A legendary figure about to encounter a world more treacherous than any he has ever known.
G'day. Dick Dundee from Australia. How are you? I'm fine, how are you? Just came in town for a couple of days. Probably see you around. Bye.
Is this your first trip to New York?
First trip anywhere.
Well, we might just have to give you one for free.
Yeah. One what?
How are you finding New York?
Bit of a lunatic asylum. That's why I love it, because I fit right in.
G'day.
Hello.
Sorry. G'day. Look.
My bag! Stop it! Stop
When are you coming home, mate? Well, if you can manage, Wal, I'd like to stay a while. Wouldn't have anything to do with a certain lady writer, would it?
Paramount Pictures presents
Your pal, Senor Meek.
Paul Hogan
Hey, my man, what's happening? Where?
as Crocodile Dundee.
You got a light, buddy?
Yeah, sure, kid.
And your wallet.
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Crocodile Dundee.
This film was directed by Peter Feynman, has a 97-minute runtime, is rated PG-13. It stars Paul Hogan, Linda Kozlowski, and John Millian. Synopsis. A New York reporter heads to Australia to interview the living legend Mick Dundee. When she finally locates him, she is so taken with him that she brings him back with her to New York. In New York, Mick Dundee is amazed by the wonders of the city and the interesting people there. I watched this not that long ago, but while I was browsing through my collection, I got the urge to watch it again. This, after all, was a childhood staple of mine that I went many years without seeing. This is good, harmless fun. Seriously, it's not a great movie, but it's very serviceable and has some classic moments in it that have turned into pop culture references over the years. I even found myself silently chuckling at several parts I'd forgotten about. There's something enjoyable and lovable about Paul Hogan's character. The simplistic nature of his lifestyle and code is something many of us wish we could bottle up and follow ourselves. For the first time, I got the hint of a deeper subtext that could be just a figment of my imagination, but it seems the tale is more about being true to yourself and not worrying about what everyone else thinks, treating strangers like they're old friends, and having a moral code you stick to. I never really looked at it in that light before, but that's the vibe I got from it. Again, maybe I'm reading way too much into it. I'm glad I threw this one on and I gained a different perspective on it. It's always been a film I've enjoyed on a basic level, but looking at it this way certainly makes me appreciate it more. Also, am I the only one who was disappointed that the fake trailer for The Son of Crocodile Dundee was just a commercial? I think that could have been a good, goofy, fun film, especially with the talent they had in the trailer. My rating for this is a 6.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating for this is a 6.5 out of 10. Up next, 1991's Hudson Hawk.
Oh, I hate when this happens. Girls, can I ask you a question? How do I look?
Like a fraternity thing?
I just got out of jail yesterday. I didn't want to steal anything. I didn't want to go to Europe. All I wanted was a cappuccino. You still think you're the greatest cat burglar that ever lived?
You are one hell of a thief.
Hudson Hawk is an evil man.
The Big E.
I'm just some guy that's good at swiping stuff.
Eddie, we're hanging off a castle in the middle of Italy, and you're asking me how you look?
Okay. You don't gotta get technical about it.
You look gorgeous. You look like Zorro.
Well, I didn't know.
Buongiorno.
Yeah, buongiorno. Maybe you could help me. I'm being blackmailed into robbing the Vatican by a psychotic American corporation and the CIA.
I don't,
You don't speak English? You have very beautiful eyes for a man.
I got a bad feeling.
I can't even swim.
Hell, fall will probably kill you. Da-da-da. Oh, we got
Oh, I was afraid you weren't going to drop by.
Baby, ragged and funny. You want to know something, Eddie? What? You hit like a girl. We'll travel along in a song.
Started the week by stealing the sports stuff and ended by swiping the codex.
Yeah, but
what are your plans for the weekend? Hosting away the Coliseum?
Can't we just go back to the kissing part?
Side by side.
Life doesn't get much better than this.
The film was directed by Michael Lehman, has a 100-minute runtime, rated R, stars Bruce Willis, Danny Aiello, and Andy McDowell. Synopsis. Thief extraordinaire Hudson Hawk has just been released from prison, and all he wants is a nice cappuccino. However, before he can savor his favorite beverage, the highly eccentric and wealthy Darwin Mayflower and his equally odd wife, Minerva, rope Hawk into an ambitious series of heists. Soon Hawk is stealing no less than the major works by Leonardo da Vinci, priceless pieces that the Mayflowers plan to use in an exceedingly nefarious way. I don't think I'd watched this one since I was in high school or shortly after I got out of high school. I know it's been a long damn time. I used to really enjoy this one, so I was curious to see how it was going to hold up after all these years of not seeing it. I think I was a bit let down from the fond memories I used to have of this. While it was still very enjoyable, I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much as I once did. A lot of what I used to find funny, I didn't, and a lot of what I didn't, I did. Overall, it was an enjoyable enough watch. The acting was solid, but the story just felt too all over the place compared to what I remember. It felt as though they were trying way too hard to make it more intriguing than it needed to be. The comedy also seemed way more hit or miss than what I remember. Definitely more miss than hit for me, but as I said, I still enjoyed it. The stuff I enjoyed this time, comedy-wise, was a playful banter between Bruce Willis and Danny Aiello's character, Hudson and Tommy. It's a weird movie that tries too hard at times, but manages to still be enjoyable. Also, I gotta say, Andie MacDowell will always be one of the most stunningly beautiful women on the planet for me, and I think High School TJ certainly would agree with that statement. My rating for this is a 6.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 5.8 out of 10. Up next, 1985's Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
The world had been through a trial by fire, and only the greatest warriors and their deadliest enemies emerged from the flames.
Who are you?
Nobody.
Oh, mister, I can feel it. The dice are rolling.
He was the one they called Mad.
But he's just a raggedy man.
But to those whose lives hung in the balance...
Where's the waiting ones? Waiting for what? Waiting for you.
He was the one they called Hero.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Now, Mad Max is back in Beyond Thunderdome. Mel Gibson, Tina Turner, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
This film was directed by George Miller and George Ogilvy. Has a 107-minute runtime, rated PG-13, stars Mel Gibson, Tina Turner, and Bruce Spence. Synopsis. In the third of the Mad Max movies, Max drifts into an evil town ruled by Turner. There, he becomes a gladiator and gets dumped in the desert, where he is rescued by a band of feral orphans who have been looking for help for years. When several of them take his appearance as a sign and go off into the desert, he follows them back to the town. This was the first of the Mad Max movies I ever saw. I remember watching it countless times growing up and always enjoyed it. I snagged a copy of this on VHS not too long ago, but I really hadn't been in the mood to throw it on quite yet. This is still a really fun movie. With that being said, it's easily the weakest of the Mad Max films. Still, it's a lot better than 90% of the post-apocalypse films we get from that era. It also has a few of my favorite lines from the series. Pig Killer. Remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Dr. Dealgood. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here. I always liked the idea of there being a hidden Eden in the wasteland that has managed to go on undiscovered. That was always one of my favorite parts of the film. I just thought that was kind of cool. There's this beautiful place surrounded by sand, and only the feral orphans are there. The acting is solid. The effects are solid. I just feel like the story was too damn short for what they were trying to put together. I think you could add it a little more, and it wouldn't have bogged down the film. The shorter runtime makes the film feel a little all over the place compared to the other Mad Max films, which always felt sprawling and epic to me. While this one is fun, it doesn't quite have that grandiose effects the other films had on me. This is one I'll throw in and enjoy the hell out of from time to time. Even if it is the weakest of the series, it's still a damn fun ride. My rating for this film is a 6 out of 10. And I was an idiot and didn't write down the IMDb rating, so my rating's a 6 out of 10. That's all you really need to know, right? Up next, 1984's Revenge of the Nerds.
Star Wars, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sound of Music. In the tradition of these great films about fighting back against the odds, 20th Century Fox presents another milestone in motion picture history. Revenge of the Nerds.
Nerds! Nerds?
Nerds.
Nerds! What is a nerd?
They've been laughed at, picked on,
There's a roommate, pal!
and put down.
I'm not kissing a nerd.
They don't have the moves or the muscle,
You know karate? No. Good.
but they've got the brains.
I know what we're gonna do.
It's time for the odd to get even.
Their action tonight demands an immediate retaliation. How many cameras do we have left?
This should do it.
Oh, here she comes.
Go up, go up.
Oh, no.
That nerd saw me naked!
Are all nerds as good as you?
Revenge of the Nerds. Their time has come.
I drink to that.
This film was directed by Jeff Canoe, has a runtime of 90 minutes, rated R, stars Robert Carradine, Anthony Edwards, and Timothy Busfield. Synopsis. Geeky college students Gilbert and Lewis are evicted from their dormitory when the Alpha Betas, who recently burned down their own fraternity house by accident, confiscate the building. When the college forces the freshmen to live in the gym, Gilbert, Lewis, and their fellow dorks relocate to a rundown house. When the Alpha Betas, led by the jock Stan, repeatedly humiliate them, the nerds plot revenge. I've seen this one countless times over the years. It's always been one of those films I really enjoy, but I've never really loved it. It's been a few years since my last viewing, so I decided to throw it on. And not much has changed for me on how I feel about this one. It is an iconic 80s film for sure. There are several memorable moments scattered throughout the film, and it's pretty short, easy film to watch. It is interesting to view it now and see how different the culture was, yet how much it hasn't changed at all. This movie in its simplest form is about acceptance. Acceptance for yourself and the need to be accepted for who you are by others. Some of the actions by the characters in the film would land you in jail or worse today. It's very weird, as I said, to see how open and not only accepted but encouraged some of the behaviors were. It doesn't bother me at all, but it's interesting to see it, as I said, how we've progressed in many ways, yet we still manage to remain the same. Truthfully, Revenge of the Nerds was actually way ahead of its time in a lot of aspects with its messages. It's one of the reasons I think it's viewed by many as an early 80s classic. While I still don't love it, it's one I will continue to throw on every handful of years and enjoy. And I'll be honest, this was probably one of the first films I ever remember seeing a gay character in. And just the different stereotypes you had, but the nerds kind of accepted everybody for who they were, despite their flaws or whatever you want to say. But that's why I say I think it was really a little bit ahead of its time as far as, the messages that it tried to purvey. My rating for this is a 6.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating is a 6.6 out of 10. Up next, 1998's The Wedding Singer.
Before the internet, before cell phones, before rollerblades, there was a time
Everybody on the dance floor. Very nice, Grandma Molly.
When Robbie Hart was the most popular wedding singer around.
You spin me right round, baby, right round. Like a record, baby, right round, round, round. Hey, somebody get some pants on that kid.
Until he got stood up at his own wedding.
I woke up this morning and I realized I'm about to marry a wedding singer.
Once again, things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
New Line Cinema presents.
Is it true that you're in the middle of a nervous breakdown?
Whoopity-doo!
Adam Sandler.
Hey, Psycho, get out of my Van Halen t-shirt before you jinx the band and they break up.
And Drew Barrymore.
You're the wedding singer.
How you doing? I'm Robbie.
I'm Julia.
In a story about finding love where you least expect it.
Uh-oh. What? You like her?
No, I don't.
This is my fiance, Glenn.
I don't even know your last name.
It's Gulia. Julia's last name is gonna be Gulia. Julia Gulia. That's funny.
Why is that funny?
I don't know. I just...
Now the girl of his dreams is about to marry Mr. Wrong.
That's grade A, top choice meat.
Good morning.
You can make breakfast from bed?
Unless he can pull off the performance of a lifetime.
She and Glenn just jumped a plane to Vegas. Go get her.
All right.
You're thinking of leaving Glenn for the wedding singer?
He's more than a lover.
What do you think of the jacket? I don't know, man. I would lose that glove. You look nuts.
He's more than a legend.
You are the worst wedding singer in the world, buddy.
Well, I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
The Wedding Singer.
I said hip hop, a hip to the hip to the hip hip hop. You don't stop the rock to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie them feet.
The film was directed by Frank Carassi, has a 95-minute runtime, rated PG-13, stars Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, and Christine Taylor. Synopsis. Set in 1985, Adam Sandler plays a nice guy with a broken heart who's stuck in one of the most romantic jobs in the world, a wedding singer. He loses all hope when he's banded at the altar by his fiancée. He meets a young woman named Julia, who enlists his help to plan her wedding. He falls in love with her and must win her over before she gets married. I've seen this one a handful of times over the years, and it's always been one of those take it or leave it types of films for me. If it was on TV, I'd watch it. But I never really went out of my way to watch it. I never really felt vested in it either way. I decided to throw it on as it had been a while since the last time I viewed it. It's a very good date-type movie. It had a few moments in it that I enjoyed, but overall it really didn't strike me as super funny. The story's interesting enough, and I had no issues with any of the acting. It does, however, have one of the most awesome 80s soundtracks, so that's a bonus. I know Sandler gets a lot of hate from people, but I've always enjoyed his films in a goofy, stupid, fun sort of way. There's usually not a lot of deep meaning in his films. You know what you're going to get for the most part going in, and I'm okay with that. This one still remains in that zone of, if it's on, I'll watch it, but otherwise I'm not generally going to go out of my way to view it type of film. My rating for this is a 5.5 out of 10. The average IMDb rating for this is a 6.8 out of 10. And that, my friends, closes the VHS vault for this week. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to Average Joe's Drive-In and continuing to support the show. You can hit me up on social media. You can find the podcast at Average Joe's Drive-In Podcast on Facebook, Thomas Washburn Jr. on Instagram, TWJ Author on the Twitter. And you can also check out my .com, thomaswashburnjr.com. If you want to support the show, there's a cool, easy way to do it. I don't have a GoFundMe or a Patreon or anything like that. So if you want to support the show, you can go to Amazon.com, type in Thomas Washburn Jr., and my books will pop up. So there's some options here. You can either buy the Kindle versions, which are pretty cheap, or a physical copy if you don't like the Kindle thing. But if you have Kindle Unlimited or Amazon Prime, you can read my books in Kindle format for free. And every time you read one of my books, I get paid for it. So it doesn't cost you anything outside of what you're already paying for anyway with those services, and it helps the show out. The money I make off the book stuff from Amazon, I'm trying to put back into the show to upgrade and, get a little better equipment, stuff like that. Hosting costs money. I love doing the show, but anything you guys can do to help would be awesome. And like I said, you guys get something out of it. Maybe you'll enjoy the books. I hope so. Maybe not, but whatever. I'd like to thank my sponsors, the Maine Cannababes, for just being awesome people who are doing so many good things. Go to mainecannababes.com to find out more about them and what they're up to, benefits, charity events they're doing, different things they're supporting, information on cannabis laws in Maine. I think there's some even national law stuff on there. But they are doing some very cool things, and they're a great group of women who I support fully, and I'm very proud to have as a sponsor. Again, I'd like to thank all you for listening to the show and helping make what it is. It's great to see that it keeps growing. So please, if you enjoy the show, spread the word, tell your friends, and if you like an episode, make sure you rate it on whatever podcast app you're listening to or whatever site you listen to. Please rate it. That does help get the show and make it more visible to other people searching. So that helps. It takes a couple minutes, I know, and I appreciate you taking your time to do it. And I'd like to leave you with these thoughts. Remember, kids, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. And I will see you sexy animals on the flip side.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee, freshly brewed, and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.